Thank you all so much for joining us today. We're so glad that you're here. My name is Christine Grissom, and I'm with Phi Theta Kappa. I am the Associate Vice President of Scholarships, and we could not be more elated that you're here to walk through how to compete for the Jack Kent Cooke Undergraduate Transfer Scholarship and learning how to navigate the common application. I would love for you to meet our incredible panelists today, starting with our friend Jackie Ozzie from the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation. Jackie, would you like to tell our students a little bit about what you do at the foundation? And Meredith, we have Meredith Lombardi as well from the Common Application on with us today too. So we would certainly love to hear from you as well, Meredith.
Hi everyone, hope you can hear me. I work at the Common App on our Access and Equity team doing outreach and education for Common App. So I'm happy to be here today.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We are, again, so glad to have you here to learn more about the Jack Kent Cooke Scholarship and competing for this incredible award to help really impact you when you're getting ready to navigate from the community or to your college to the four-year school. So today for this presentation, we really wanted to walk you through about everything that you need to know about the Jack Kent Cooke Scholarship and really how to leverage your talents as Phi Theta Kappa members to position yourself for success. So many of you contact us directly every single year and find out about this scholarship through your Phi Theta Kappa advisors, through the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation, and have questions about these things. So we wanted to provide you with the opportunity to get the information directly from the Cooke Foundation to really learn how you can leverage your talents as Phi Theta Kappa members to win this scholarship and how to compete very well for it. And we also wanted to introduce you to the Common App if you have not utilized this platform and this resource to help you prepare for applying for colleges as well as applying for the Jack Kent Cooke Undergraduate Transfer Scholarships through the Common App as well. So we will be walking through everything that you need to know about these scholarships, and really how you can leverage your talents as Phi Theta Kappa members to compete very well for that. So as you know, Phi Theta Kappa members, of course, what we do at Phi Theta Kappa is help to recognize academic excellence. And not only that, but I think the really cool thing about Phi Theta Kappa members is that you bring a wealth of leadership and demonstrated impact from what you're doing on your college campus as well as in your communities to really impact others. So you have a wealth and of course, breadth and depth of experience in leadership as well as putting ideas into action. And throughout this presentation today, you're going to learn exactly what the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation is looking for in an undergraduate transfer scholar. So what we want you to do is to be fully prepared to use your skills that you have developed as a Phi Theta Kappa member to really position yourself for success. So we really do work hard to help promote engagement on your college campuses and in your community so you can sharpen skills and you can really learn more about yourself to position yourself for college transfer as well as landing scholarships to help you pay for your education. And who doesn't love money to help pay for school, right? Nobody wants all of that to come out of your pocket to pay or finance your education. So this is exactly why we want to provide an opportunity like this for you so you can hear everything that you need to know about how to apply, what you need to do, and the things that the Cooke Foundation is looking for in a Jack Kent Cooke Scholar. So we are really working, again, hard to provide access for scholarships, not just those provided by Phi Theta Kappa, but also through incredible partners like the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation to help you succeed. So we'll talk a little bit about how to leverage your talents to help you achieve your goals, whether that be for college transfer or whether that to be to help you land scholarships as well. You can do all this together to help you navigate this difficult thing called college transfer and really find success in doing that. So just to share just some information with you by the numbers about these scholarships. Of course, scholarships are the number one reason that students are joining Phi Theta Kappa, but I think one of the most important things is that providing you with resources that you need to help you succeed. So we know that of all the students that are Phi Theta Kappa members, 73% of them intend to transfer to a four-year school, and that's a lot. But one of the biggest barriers that our students face when it comes to affording this transfer is that itself, paying for school. So we want to prepare you not just for what the cost of attendance looks like when you go to that four-year school, but how you can earn and land scholarships to help you finance that as well. So I think the really cool thing about this is that Phi Theta Kappa members are really strong contenders for the Cooke Undergraduate Transfer Program. And what sets you apart from the rest is the fact that you have demonstrated leadership. You are putting not just your academics to good use, but your skills and abilities to relate to people and to do something about it. You're change agents, and this is incredibly attractive to scholarship providers. When you are not just in this thing called life for yourself, you're in it to make people better as well as yourself and certainly those around you as well. So when it comes to the Cooke Scholarship application, there are about 3,500 students that really actively engage with the Cooke Scholarship application. And I know that seems like a lot, and it is, but the biggest part that matters here is that you're completing your application. So you'll miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So when you're in that application, be sure that you are completing it so you can be considered for this. So Jackie will talk a little bit more about this in just a little bit. But I think the really awesome part about this is that of all the scholars that are Cooke Scholars over at least the past 5 years, you're looking at historically 85 to 87% of them are Phi Theta Kappa members. So you stand a really good chance of not just competing well for these scholarships, but also landing them. So at this point, I want to turn it over to Jackie to help introduce you to the Undergraduate Transfer Scholarship. Jackie?
Wonderful. Thank you. And Kristen, can you hear me well?
I sure can.
Wonderful. Thank you. So PTK members have had great success, and we're really grateful to work with you all. So the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation's mission is focused on supporting the advancement of exceptionally promising students who work hard and have financial need. So the Undergraduate Transfer Scholarship is one of the ways we support high-achieving students who are currently or in the past have attended community colleges and are intending on transferring to those competitive four-year universities. So Kristen, we can go ahead. Thank you. So who are our Cooke Scholars? If you're interested in looking at who won the scholarships or who received the scholarships last year, you can click that link on the bottom of the page before it goes away. But our Cooke Scholars come from a really wide range of backgrounds. All are highly ambitious, and all are focused on giving back to the greater community somehow. So a whopping 93% take part in civic or community service while they're at their two-year colleges. Transfer Scholars plan to apply to those competitive colleges across the nation, and the average GPA for Transfer Scholars is about a 3.84. In order to apply and to qualify, you'll need a 3.5 GPA or higher, but the average scholarship recipient has about that 3.84. Thank you. So the Cooke Transfer Scholarship offers financial support of up to $40,000 per year towards your cost of attendance. We also offer personalized one-on-one advising throughout your whole time in college. This advisor walks you through the application processes, financial aid, choosing a major, transferring credits, planning for summer internships and opportunities, and planning for graduate school and careers after graduation. So really runs the whole gamut. The Cooke Scholar community is also one of the most critical components of the scholarship. You're immediately connected with scholars and alumni across the country and then sometimes across the world. People who are in your corner are there to support you and know the incredible work that you've done to get to this point in your life. Every summer, we actually invite all the new scholarship recipients to Scholars Weekend, which is an opportunity to start developing bonds and connections within the Cooke community, which is absolutely fantastic to watch. And then, if just the last bullet on that last slide, as a Cooke Scholar, you're exclusively eligible for the Cooke Graduate Scholarship, which is $75,000 per year for graduate school. Okay, now on to the program goals. Yeah, if we could go back one, thank you. So on the program goals, basically what we try to do throughout your Cooke Transfer Scholarship experience is guide you to apply and attend the nation's top four-year colleges and universities, make connections with Cooke Scholar community, gain those skills to excel in college, and then be ready for life after graduation, wherever that might take you. So on to eligibility. Now, we receive a couple thousand applications each year. So the first step in figuring out whether you should apply or not is definitely reviewing these basic eligibility requirements. So to apply, you need to be currently attending a U.S. community college or have recently graduated from a U.S. community college no earlier than spring of 2015. That means if you graduated from a U.S. community college in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, you are eligible to apply. If you're an international student and you're attending a U.S. community college, you're also good to go to apply. If you're an international student attending community college internationally, not in the U.S., you're not eligible. So if you are, you're also eligible if you're planning to attend a four-year college next fall for fall of 2020. Like I said earlier, the minimum unweighted GPA required is a 3.5. Typically, the average is about that 3.84. So for financial need, the way we typically define financial need at JKCF is typically your AGI, your adjusted gross income, if that lies under about $95,000. To give you an idea of the students that apply and are accepted to our scholarship, last year's cohort of new transfer scholarship recipients had a median family income of approximately $28,000 as an AGI. So really a wide range. You can be anywhere under $95,000 and you'll qualify to apply. And then last, number 5 here, no previous full-time enrollment at a four-year college. So it's okay if you took 1 or 2 classes, but you cannot have been enrolled full-time at a four-year college. Typically, full-time is 12 credit hours or more. If you have questions about your specific situation, definitely reach out to scholarships@jkcf.org and just explain your situation to us, and we can walk that through with you. Okay. So Meredith is going to talk a little bit more about the Common App later, and we'll show you specifically how to do this. But the only way to access the undergraduate transfer scholarship application is through Common App. So you're going to sign into your Common App for Transfer account. You'll add the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation just like you would another college you might apply for. And then, again, just like we're another college, you'll need to complete our supplemental requirements. So we have separate essay questions than just the Common App portions. And there are 4 questions total for university, for undergrad transfer. And then just keep in mind the deadline to submit all of your pieces is November 20th, 2019. That includes any recommendation letters from academic recommenders. So make sure you ask for those early and get those in by November 20th. So again, first and foremost, you need to make sure you meet the eligibility requirements we discussed earlier. If you have questions specific to your situation, definitely email scholarships@jkcf.org, and we'll help you decide whether you are eligible or not. So again, like I was saying with the 2 recommendations, you'll submit 2 academic recommendations. They must be from academic professionals at your current or most recent institution. They should know you well and be well acquainted with your work and your character. Be sure to include any activities and honors that you've received while at your institution. And then you're going to describe your college plans and goals. Going back to the supplemental writing portions, our application, they're separate from the Common App personal statement. The personal statement is optional for our scholarship. But you'll most likely end up writing one anyways if you're applying to any other schools on Common App, so you can feel free to submit it if you'd like. Again, optional. the things that are not optional in the writing section, we've got 4 pieces to do, 3 short essays and then the narrative autobiography. All 4 of those things are required. The narrative autobiography is pretty similar to the personal statement, but it's tailored for JKCF. Our narrative autobiography is 3,000 character limit, and then the 3 short answer essays are a maximum of 600 characters. Just something to keep in mind as you're drafting. So a couple tips. We never ask any questions about citizenship. You do not need to be a U.S. citizen to apply. You, again, can be an international student. The only thing is you need to be attending a U.S. community college or have recently graduated from one. Again, if you have questions or concerns about your status and your eligibility, just feel confident that when you do email us, your question and your information stays completely internal, does not go anywhere else. So feel free to reach out and just ask us so you can be sure you can apply. We only accept applications online through Common App, and we primarily answer questions via email, not phone. So again, the best way to reach out to us is scholarships@jkcf.org. And just keep in mind as well, when you're applying, know that we are looking for academic ability, persistence, leadership, and service to others. Those are the main pillars of what we look for. And then when you're applying, be sure to share the important details of your story so we can understand you as a person and what your goals are, what your history has been. There's ample places where you can describe any kind of situations that might give us a better look into what your past has been. Plenty of space for that. So these are some of the questions we most frequently receive. How long does it take to complete an application? So again, this varies from student to student, but we find it typically takes about 4 to 5 hours to complete. Of course, this depends on your own writing process and how quickly you can acquire recommendation letters. We recommend, again, that you start asking for recommendation letters soon. Right now, we're about 8 weeks out from the application deadline, and you want to make sure that your recommenders have ample time to receive the notification. They're going to get a notification through Common App, write the recommendation, and then upload it themselves. So you are not directly going to upload the recommendation, the recommenders do. There will be an option. It does not affect your application if you decide to waive your right to access the recommendation or not. So you can pick either one, fine with us. Once you hit submit on the application is closed off and there's no way to get back into the application. If you accidentally submit something incorrectly or you upload the wrong document, you can email us and we will try to make an edit or include the missing piece on our end. That's also fine. $0. We never require any money to submit our application. If you have technical issues with your application, we recommend you contact Common App directly. They will be much more help than we will be, and Meredith will explain more later as well. So for financial verification, we do ask you initially to self-report your income at the first stage. So when we ask for that AGI under $95,000, you kind of estimate and self-report at first. You're going to type in your estimate, and then if you move on to the semifinalist stage, then we will ask for financial verification documents. So you'll need, at this point, nothing to submit right now, but I would definitely start preparing to gather tax documents or other documents to verify your finances over the past 3 years. So, and then independent status means that you are 24 years of age or older. If you are 24 or older, Common App will not ask you for your parents' information, so you are technically independent, and then neither will the foundation. We will only ask for you as your independent personal finances. If you are under 24, we require you to submit your parents' information and your AGI because you are technically considered a dependent student. Again, if you have different situations, email us, scholarships@jkcf.org. And then if your school doesn't have a JKCF campus rep, you can still submit an application. Anyone who meets the eligibility requirements can submit an application. Campus reps are typically people who know of students who might fit the eligibility requirements, and they just connect us with you. But if you know about it, you can submit. It's totally fine. And then, again, if you have any questions, feel free to email us, and we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. And then just remember November 20th. So now I'm going to pass it off to Meredith, who's going to talk in more detail about the Common App.
Great, thanks, Jackie. I just want to make sure, can everyone hear me okay?
I can, Meredith.
Okay, great. So I'm going to take the next few minutes to walk through what the application experience is like when using the Common App for transfer. A quick introduction to who we are. We are a not-for-profit membership organization, which means that Common App is driven by the member institutions and organizations like the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation, who are members of Common App. We have been around for a long time, since 1975, and we are excited to introduce ourselves to you as you think about transferring and also as you look for this transfer scholarship. So the first thing I would definitely say to do is to check out the commonapp.org website. This is really going to be where you can find which colleges accept the Common App for transfer, as well as the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation. You're going to find over 650 schools that are on the Common App for transfer. There's also guidelines for you in terms of transferring from community college to a four-year institution. There are application and recommender guides for the transfer app. So if you have questions and need to figure out how to do parts of the Jack Kent Cooke scholarship or just any part of the application, you can find guides on commonapp.org. And there's also worksheets that you can download as part of our Common App Ready materials. So if you want to know, like, what materials do I need to gather, and there's sheets that you can download to help you through the process. So this is a quick video tutorial, which I think you're on mute, Kristen, again, but that's fine.
Transfer.commonapp.org and select the Create Account button. You'll be asked to enter some basic information like your name, contact information, and email address. Note that questions marked with a red asterisk are required. Some of the information entered will carry over into the contact information section of the application. You'll be able to update it at any time after you create your account. You will also need to choose a username and password for your account that you will use to log in each time.
Kristen, you can go ahead and move forward from this one. Thank you for playing that. That was just a quick video tutorial that we have on our YouTube channel. So if you have questions about the application, we have an entire playlist on it's Common App Media on YouTube. So you can look at how to create a Common App for transfer account, how to navigate different parts of the application process, how to request transcripts, what do your recommenders need to know. We have lots of really great video tutorials to help you through the process. But this is what it looks like when you create your Common App for transfer account. You're going to see, you're going to see that there are kind of 4 tabs at the top. So there's the My Application part, which is where you get these 4 different boxes that you're seeing. Go to the next one, Add Programs, which is where you actually pick up a program to add to your account, which I'll show you. Submitting the application is the next one. That's where you go to submit when you're ready. And then check status is where you look to see where your materials are for each individual program that you have applied to. So then you have within your application, there are 3 parts of the application that are common no matter where you're applying. So again, for colleges or for the scholarship. Personal information, next one is academic history, supporting information. Those 3 are all common. And then the fourth one is specific to the program you're applying to. And I'll go into more details about those. So here we are on Add Programs. This is where you can do a quick search and you can find the transfer scholarship for Jack Kent Cooke. I did the search on there. I see it when it pulls up. There I can see that November 20th deadline, no fee, and I can click the plus button to add it to my list. So here's just a quick overview of what you'll find in the personal information section. This is where you are putting your address information, your race and ethnicity, which I believe many of those are optional. If you have any military history, your communication preferences, and then as Jackie was saying, the parent guardian information, that will, there's a question in there asking if you were born before January 1st, 1997. If you were born before that date, you will not see the parent guardian section within the personal information section. But if you were born after that date, then you will see the parent guardian information section. And then also, here is where you see the Common App fee waiver. Now, you won't need it for the Jack Kent Cooke Scholarship, but for other programs at colleges that you are applying to, if you qualify, for example, if you are a Pell Grant recipient, just as one example, then you would select that there, and then that fee waiver request would allow you to submit your application without having to pay any application fees. The academic history is probably where you'll spend a decent amount of time, because you're going to say, where did you complete school up through grade 12, whether that was in the US or abroad in another country. You will also say which colleges you've attended, and you can certainly put if you've been to one community college or two community colleges, or if you've taken a course at a college at some point, a four-year institution. You will be able to put all of that information there. In the colleges attended section, you are going to see whether or not the programs you're applying to, whether they want an official transcript, an unofficial transcript, or if they do not require any college transcript. In the college coursework section, you're also going to see here whether or not schools want you to do a self-reported academic record, meaning do they actually want you to put a listing of the courses that you've taken. Even if they're on your transcript, they may want you to enter them in here, either all of them, perhaps maybe only for certain majors for prerequisite coursework, or no coursework entry. I would say the majority of colleges' programs do not require coursework entry. However, I believe the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation does require coursework entry. And if I'm wrong on that, you can correct me, Jackie. Other things here, you're going to put GPAs, test scores, if you've taken any CLEP exams, so that's all in the academic history. Then we move on to supporting information. And this is where you get to talk about what you do or have done outside of your academics. So your experiences, and here it's also an opportunity to talk about if you have work experience, if you have family responsibilities. That also goes within the experiences section. You can talk about achievements. Then you have the ability to upload. All of those documents there are optional because, again, remember, this is for any program you're applying to. So you can upload a resume here, but you do not have to. But you will have to when it comes time to the specific questions for Jack Kent Cooke. Also, if you have a green card, you can upload it here. And then the other two, the DD-214 and Joint Services transcripts, are if you have a military background. So then that last quadrant of the application is program materials, and this is where you're answering questions specific to whatever program you are applying to. And you can go on to the next one. Okay, so here's what it looks like when you're in the program materials section for the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation. You are going to see that they have the required CV or resume. They require that you upload an unofficial college transcript. And then they have optional document types. So if you wanted to include a high school transcript, you could, but it's not required. If you wanted to put a personal statement here outside of their writing requirements, you can, not required. If you wanted to upload a publication or a test score report, you can put those there in their application. For the recommendations part, that's where then you do the invitations for 2 academic recommenders. When you get to the questions part, this is where, again, you're answering questions specific to the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation scholarship. So they're going to ask questions like to make sure that you are eligible to apply, because certainly you would not want to fill out this entire application to find out that you actually are not eligible, because that would be a lot of time spent. So those eligibility questions are right at the beginning. Within the activities section, you can note your PTK membership in that section. That would be a good place. There's a question in there that asks that. And again, like Jackie said, not a requirement to apply, but certainly it is, as you saw from what Kristen said, many PTK members do end up awarded with the scholarship. Other things you're going to do, again, Jackie mentioned, talking about your college plans, your finances, your family, and then you can see in that blue box the different writing requirements, which also lays out those, which ones are the short answer ones with those 600 character limits, and then the longer narrative autobiography with that 3,000 character limit. Okay, so when it comes time to apply and you feel like you've filled out the entire application, you feel good about it, you go to submit application and you submit. Then you would go to the check status, and this is where you can actually see whether or not Jack Kent Cooke has received your transcript or not. You will be able to see whether or not your recommenders have done their part. I know that that text is small there, but this is where you go on check status to be able to find out where am I, not of course whether or not you've been accepted to a school or received the scholarship. It's not that kind of status. It's more about where are your forms, and have the colleges or has Jack Kent Cooke received the different parts to make your application complete. One thing to note that there are parts of the Common App for transfer that once you do your first submission, you can't go back and change when it comes time to apply to another program. There is right on the submit application page a link to an FAQ that just lets you know which fields get locked and which fields open up or remain open so that you can make edits for any future program that you apply to. So to learn more, the best thing to do is to create a Common App account. So if you go to commonapp.org, you can go to apply and you would be able to open up a transfer account. As I mentioned, even just the commonapp.org website has a lot of information about navigating the transfer application, just navigating the transfer process, even if you were not to use the Common App for transfer. YouTube channel has the video tutorials so that you can see a visual of navigating any part of the application. We're also on social media, and not just providing updates, let's say on Facebook or Twitter, but we also participate in several Twitter chats. So you'll find really great advice, especially tomorrow is an example of tomorrow's Why Apply Day in partnership with the American College Application Campaign. We will certainly do things with PTK and with the National Institute for the Study of Transfer Students when it comes time for National Transfer Student Week coming up in October. So you can just get really great information when you connect with us on social media. And here are those links for when you have questions. So Jackie was saying, when you have a technical question about the application or something is confusing or you need help with the application itself, if you email the Common Application at liaisoncast.com, or again, if you don't remember that, but if you go to commonapp.org/help, you can get to the Transfer Help Center. You can also, and the help is available 24/7, 365. So anytime you're working on your application, you can get help. There's also chat available within the application, so you can also chat with the Help Center. And there's just your reminder again, the deadline for the transfer scholarship is November 20th. People always say, well, what time on the 20th? And the answer is 11:59 p.m. your local time. So wherever you are in the U.S., or if you're traveling for that day and you're somewhere outside of the U.S., or you are currently living abroad, whatever the case, do not worry about trying to translate into a certain time zone. Just on the 20th, before it hits midnight, you can submit and you will be good to go.
Okay, so at this point in the webinar, we hope you learned a lot of valuable information about the Cooke Undergraduate Transfer Scholarship and the Common App, and how to navigate the system. So we're going to open up the floor for questions and provide some feedback and responses to you. We know there's been some submitted in the Q&A box, but if you have questions, certainly don't hesitate to type those in, and we will get to your questions now. So one of the questions, and Jackie, this is related to the narrative autobiographies. A student was just saying that they were struggling with that component of the application. Do you have any tips or best practices to help students in this portion of the application?
Sure. So the narrative autobiography is really for you to explain what your life has been at this point. So remember, we are looking for people who enact in civic or community service. What have you done for your community? We're looking for people who have persisted through challenges, who have academic ability, who have leadership tendencies. So anything that really speaks to those four main criteria, that's where I would really try to focus your time on the narrative autobiography. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you've done in the past, and how you might be a great asset to the Cooke community. I know that's a separate question as well, but just overall, that's where you're going to have the most space and time to explain who you are and why we should consider you for the undergraduate transfer scholarship.
Perfect. I know from time to time we get a lot of questions from students just asking if this prompt should be more academic focused or civic leadership focused. Any tips on that?
That's a great question. I really think it depends on what you think you can speak best towards. Your academics are going to be shown through your transcripts and any kind of like your GPA and things like that. So things that we can't see on transcripts or things that you don't think will be reflected in academic recommendations might be something to focus on as well. But really that's up to you and what you think would best describe you as a person.
Great feedback. A question too came through about DACA students, and you addressed that they are eligible to compete for the scholarship.
Right.
Do you have any advice or tips on how they can articulate that they are DACA? I know that sometimes the concern is that if they are stating that they're a DACA student, that they're afraid that will be reported elsewhere.
No, definitely will not be reported anywhere else. All of the information that anybody submits to us stays in-house and does not go anywhere. So that definitely don't worry about describing your situation. I think that speaks to just personal things that you've overcome in your life and things that have affected you as you've been a student throughout your career. So definitely feel free to explain how that's been something that you have succeeded through. So again, like any kind of documentation that we would require from you would doesn't need to necessarily be federal U.S. tax information. We have multiple places where you can explain a special circumstance that you don't necessarily need to provide like W-2s or things like that. So from your family, from yourself, if that is also a concern, just keep in mind that there are special circumstance places for you to report to us what your finances have looked like in that financial verification stage. And again, not something to worry about now for the application. We just require you to type in a number that you are estimating is your financial situation right now on the application due in November. So after the semifinalists are selected, then we will start the financial verification stage, and then we will ask for documentation.
Perfect, and that's actually a really great transition. There was another question from a student just asking about what financial information they should provide, whether that's current or should they look at the previous tax year?
So we look at the past 3 years, and right now your estimate, I would say, would just be for the past year. Like when you're typing it into the application.
Great. And so another question came through about whether students who are independent versus dependent, just from some clarification on that. They were just seeking information about how you determine if you're independent or dependent.
Right. So like we said before, and on the Common App, it will pretty much determine for you whether you are independent or dependent. So if you're born before January 1st, 1997, you will not be required to submit any parent information. So technically you would be looked at as independent. So that would just be your personal finances. And then if you were born after that date or more recent for that date, you would require parent information at that point. And again, for us, we look at 3 years back.
Perfect. And this question may be for Meredith. This is about the saving or submitting of the application. The question was regarding if the application automatically saves or if they have to hit save, and once they do that, can they come back later at a later date before deciding to submit?
Yep. So I'm not sure what the official autosave is, but I believe each time you progress through any click on the application or you change from one section to another, that it does then automatically save. And certainly when you log in or log out, the information is saved. The Common App for Transfer even carries information over from year to year. So it will extend even beyond one application cycle. But yes, the information saves as you progress through it, and you can log in and log out as many times as you need to work on your application.
Perfect. And I saw you all answered this question too, but I think this is good for everyone just to see or hear really about the Common App if you use it in high school. Should you create a new account now that you are in college and are pursuing transfer?
Yep, you'll definitely need to create a new Common App for Transfer account.
So it doesn't carry over information from a high school application over into the transfer portal, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I know that there was a question about transcripts, and I just wanted to chime in on that. The question about unofficial versus official, and Jackie, maybe we can also, you can say, I know that the unofficial college transcript is one of the documents for upload within the program materials. However, within the application, students, you'll also see that Jack Kent Cooke does require that an official transcript is sent as part of the application requirements. When for Common App for Transfer, and again, this is if you're thinking about applying for this scholarship as well as to other colleges, you are able to send your transcript to the Common App for Transfer. So you would go to your registrar and request your official transcript to be sent one time to the Common App for Transfer, and that then gets distributed to any college or program like the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation scholarship. It would get distributed to them. So you're only paying, if you have to pay to get a transcript, you are requesting it one time for Common App for Transfer, not specifically for the individual programs or colleges you're applying to.
That's great feedback. Another eligibility eligibility question came through that is equally, I think, is good, was about the term in which students start at the four-year school. And the question was if they started at the four-year school in spring 2020, was that okay?
So the plan for the undergraduate transfer scholarship is that you need to be intending to start full-time in fall of 2020. So next fall, exactly 1 year from this semester. So you can, if you'd like, you can take a class or two in spring of 2020. Again, remember that if you graduate from community college in fall of 2019, this semester, you're still eligible to apply, because anybody who's graduated since 2015 is eligible to apply. So if you, let's say you want to take a semester off in the spring, that's fine, and then start in fall 2020. We do not start a scholarship in spring of 2020, though.
Good deal. We have another question from a student asking if their F1 status constitutes as a special circumstance.
That's a great question. I don't have an answer right now for that. I would say you definitely want to explain your situation a little bit more to us in the scholarships@jkcf.org email, because I don't have an answer right now for that.
Perfect. Will you share that email address one more time, just in case anybody's taking a note on that?
Sure. Scholarships, with an S on the end, multiple scholarships, at jkcf.org.
Perfect. And I know this is something that we get asked heavily because students are sitting on pins and needles. I think this is true for any scholarship, just waiting to know if they have received the scholarship or not. Can you outline a little bit about the process and how much time it takes to go through your judging before you're announcing a semifinalist and then your finalists?
Mm-hmm. So our applications are due in November, and then we have readers who go through a committee-based evaluation system. They read applications at least through till January, and then January we typically send out semifinalist notifications, and then that's when we start the financial verification portion. And then typically around March is when we will make the announcements for the final list of scholarship recipients.
Perfect. And I think sometimes students don't really realize how long it takes to go through that process, and it's not as fast. And we share that same experience here at Phi Theta Kappa. But truly that is in place to make sure that the best of the best and the top of the top are being selected to receive these scholarships. And I think everyone is, of course, deserving, but there's limited slots. So I think that this is even more important why you start your application early and get started now, especially with requesting letters of recommendation, so you can position yourself to give yourself enough time to really compete for these awards and be as detailed in your responses as possible to address those questions. We had another question that just stated that the student lived in a different country 3 years ago. Does this hinder their current residency?
So as long as you are attending a community college or have attended a community college in the U.S., you can be an international student. So again, your citizenship does not, we don't ask for your citizenship, and it does not matter to us if you are an international student. It definitely matters for the basic eligibility requirements that you attended a United States community college.
Great. And I think we have one more question. So students, if there's any other questions that you have, feel free to jump on and make sure you're getting those questions typed in the QA box before we conclude the chat. But I did want to let everybody know that we will be sharing the recording to this as well as the slide deck, so you can use this as a reference, and also sharing that with anyone in your chapter or your fellow transfer students on your college campuses. But an additional question came through about how the schools know to send the official transcripts. Like, how does that process work with the Common App?
Yep. So within the in the college's attended section within the application, if any program requires an official transcript, students, you will see a transcript request form, and that is something that you can give to your registrar, and it has the mailing address for the transcript processing center. Now, I will say if you are at an institution, a two-year school that uses Parchment or National Student Clearinghouse, then you can ask for your transcript electronically the way that your school requests it, and you would just select the Common App for Transfer as the destination, and that's automatically in there for Parchment or National Student Clearinghouse. And so usually when you go through your school where, wherever it has the information about requesting transcripts online, they'll usually tell you if they use Parchment or National Student Clearinghouse. And then again, right within the system, you would be able to select as the destination Common App for Transfer.
Awesome. And another question for you, Meredith, as well. A student asked if there was any limit on the number of schools that you can apply to via the Common App.
Great. So in the Transfer app, there are no limits.
That's a great response. Hadley is
what is limiting is the time you want to invest in filling out applications.
So Hadley, I hope you're jumping to it and getting started. So we have a couple other questions as well. If letters of recommendation can be sent directly to the Common App, or do they need to be uploaded through the portal?
What happens is you will put in the email address for whoever you want to do your recommendations, and they will log into a separate recommender system where they will put in their letter, and that gets sent then directly to the Common App for Transfer to then get delivered to whatever programs, colleges that you are applying to. So you do not have to upload anything on your end. All you have to do is the invitation, and you do not have to wait for the letter to be received prior to submitting your application. You can submit as soon as you have done just the invitation part.
That's really exciting. You can finish up your work before your recommender has the letter. Another question related to the Common App is if they have to pay a fee for every college application that they're submitting.
So every school, and I don't think I showed it on this webinar today, but every school and program has set their own fee. I would say about of the, let's say, roughly 600 programs that are on the Common App for Transfer, 50%, so around 300, have no application fee. You can see that in a few ways. If you go to commonapp.org and you go to the Explore section, you're able to filter on which schools accept the Common App for Transfer, and you can then also filter on which ones have no application fee. That's one way to do it. Also, if you're actually in the application, there are filters in there that you can use on the fees, and there's the column that has fees, so you would be able to see the ones that have the 0. And again, that is separate from the fee waiver. So if you have economic need, you can always request a fee waiver as well.
Perfect. So Jackie and Meredith, do you have any last parting thoughts you want to share with Phi Theta Kappa students just to help prepare them for applying for either colleges through the Common App or for the Jack Kent Cooke Scholarship?
So I had one last thing that we received a question about a couple days ago from an advisor. If you are inputting the colleges that you, like your college plan and the colleges that you are planning to attend in fall of 2020, don't feel obligated that you have to get into those colleges or that you have to apply to only those. It only asks for 3. Again, like Meredith said, you can apply to the unlimited number that you feel you have the bandwidth to apply to. But you don't necessarily need to feel attached to the schools that you put in your college plan. Should you receive the scholarship, we are also going to be able to walk you through best practices for applying to competitive for your institutions as well. So that was just something to think about. You don't necessarily need to feel attached to the colleges that you put in on the application.
That's great. Okay, so I think today's webinar was really helpful and addressed a lot of your questions, and certainly a lot of the questions that we receive at Phi Theta Kappa in a given year. So this has been incredibly helpful for us too, Meredith and Jackie. So thank you so much for joining us today. We will be in touch with you very soon to share the recording of this as well as the slides. So again, happy applying, and we certainly hope to see your name land on the list of recipients of the scholarship. Y'all have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, thanks, Kristen. Good luck, everyone.
Good luck.